was 1921, and Father John Marchigiani had only been the pastor at St. Mary Mount Carmel for 3 months. Bishop Grimes gave Marchigiani the task of enlarging the now insufficient church building. Of course, it was a great idea, but it would be a Herculean task. The pastor was able to raise several thousands of dollars in funds during his first months, but it would take much more. To save money, Marchigiani and his assistant, Father Nazareno Gambini, rolled up their sleeves and worked as masons, carpenters, and electricians. Their passion endeared them to the parishioners who, after the rocky beginning to his pastorate, committed physically, morally, and financially to the improvements. The first act was to break down the vestibule to add more room at the back of the auditorium. Secondly, the sacristy was reduced and the altar was moved against the end wall of the presbytery. The communion rail was moved forward as well. With these modifications, some valuable space was gained. Up to this point, 4 separate and inefficient old boilers provided heat for the church and adjacent school. They were replaced with a single, more efficient system. The basement of the church underwent reconstruction of parts of the walls, waterproofing, and lowering the floor 2 feet. There now was space for meetings of the various societies, and a stage was built at one end and soon became the site of minstrel shows and children's plays. Generations of school children and parishioners would have fond memories of time spent together in this area. Through the years 1922 to 1923, church receipts grew, as did its number of societies. By 1923, the Altar Society, Junior Holy Name, and St. Agnes Society joined those that already existed, bringing the total of participants in all groups to around 1,500. Classes in religious instruction were organized for more than 800 children. Also in 1923, the church was able to purchase the convent it had been renting, as well as the other property to the east of the main building. A cash payment of $4,500 was made to the owner, Mr. Joseph Tomeno. Additionally, a new bell weighing in excess of 1,000 pounds was purchased from the Colbacchini firm of Padova, Italy for the bell tower at the cost of $680. But the biggest changes were to come. Consulting with the bishop, Father Marchigiani developed a plan to add 2 lateral naves to the existing church building. The church debt at the time of $13,777 had been paid, but a loan of $40,000 was required to achieve his goal. The interior of the church began to assume the shape of the traditional basilica-style structure typical of those pagan buildings first adapted by the early Christians, like St. Peter's in Chains in Rome. This was the first iteration of the building we are more familiar with today. It was also capable of accommodating 460 more people at a sitting. In order to accommodate the new footprint of the church, the convent was moved 30 feet to the east on the recently acquired property there. And on the opposite side of the church, the school building was enlarged from 4 to 6 classrooms with a doctor's office, library, and auditorium. To the north end of the school was added a gymnasium where both the students and community could engage in sports and other activities. Between the 2 structures, a spacious kitchen capable of preparing meals for up to 500 people at a time was added, and was a well-used facility for fundraising dinners and parties. The work completed on the school and gym cost the parish $55,106.51, and the formal opening was held on the occasion of the 25th anniversary of the church in 1928. The campus of St. Mary Mount Carmel would look relatively familiar to our modern eyes. In the church itself, in 1931, the Altar Society presented the sanctuary with a magnificent communion rail, a pulpit, and new flooring, all of white Carrara marble. All this success was not to go unnoticed by Pastor Father Marchigiani's superiors. In 1932, he was elected Regional Superior of the Scalabrini Missionaries. After a brief stay in Boston in his new position, he went to Rome to confer with his superiors, where he was definitively assigned to the Church of Our Lady of Pompeii in New York City. In 1932, at the annual meeting of the Holy Name Society of Mount Carmel, the beloved pastor said this: "During the long years of my pastorate in Utica, we have erected buildings to the amount of $166,000, of which $106,000 have been paid in cash by our own people without recourse to the charity of strangers. We have now a truly modern school with the capacity of 400 children and intend to construct an addition to the building for another 300. We have a new convent for sisters, a splendid auditorium for assemblies and for entertainments, a church with a seating capacity of 1,400, a rectory too elaborate for us missionaries, and a gymnasium where we find ourselves assembled this evening, one of the most spacious in the city." It was an impressive list of accomplishments indeed. A really tough act to follow. How would another pastor gain the trust of the parish to maintain it and continue to make it grow? That's a great question, and you'll have to tune in next time for the next episode of the story of St. Mary Mount Carmel Blessed Sacrament Church. Until then, keep dreaming, and God bless.